Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Bull motherfucking Harris.
You know, because that is what they're trying to keep hidden. Like, there's women pagans. There was quite a few women pagans in the very beginning, but there's really only one notable, and that was Mom Via. She did some time for the club. That was back when Satan was running it. Sandy, she was a pagan. They wore the top cloud back then, and the center, their center patch was their property patch. But they took that off because they were getting gunned at on the back of the bike because they thought they were pagans.
Yeah.
So they took that off. And I got told in the last couple of weeks that I was out bad this time, you know, because the rumors change. I was out bad this time because I stole these books from two pagans. Okay. This very quickly, easily could be defeated, you know, because I've got Lou Dobkins' high school form and I got his National Rifle Association form. It's got plenty of live handwriting. I will be more than glad to let you compare because the man has handwriting. And you can quickly tell because he signs his name to every freaking thing.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and these two brothers that say I've done this, I've never met. They weren't even around or in, I don't think, when I was in. I told you, I don't think nobody's in now, hardly, that was served with me. And if they are, they're from North Carolina, and I don't with them. North Carolina, me, them probably had to stand at. But from what I hear, I got a lot of fans here, but that's waited to be determined because I don't hear from them. Even my sponsee, you know, when I brought into the club, he cut me off too. So like I'm gonna tell it like this: if you were given the option to stay out of it, you picked a side when there's no other side to pick. Y'all guys need to start getting behind the real, actual stuff. And you know, you got one last time because you're going. It's going. Everybody can see it. Even your own can see it. You know, I get constant messages from either people that just been put out or still in, and they see what's going on, but they're already on the boat. They don't want to jump off. They've done so much work to get off of it, and they see a sip of water, they're going to go down with it. If they start swimming, they are able to swim away from it. They become disenfranchised bunch of ex-pagans around that just don't want to take nobody's authority. So we don't all band together and group and say, look, we're going to pick one figurehead and let him lead us, and we're going to do this. But thank God with this golden pagan thing, you know, the separate faction, we already had that. It kind of already just one guy already had the following, and one myself had already made established of being the face of it. I mean, because I'm actually the only one that has went to social media. And I was in their faction at the time when I was asked by a very old school member what I thought about that. And I said, well, it's like this. You got to update with the times, okay? We were modeled after the Hells Angels. Don't like it, but it's fact. It's in a newspaper article, the very first one. It was stated by John Griffith that we were modeled after the Hells Angels. We were supposed to be the East Coast quill of the Hells Angels. But the reason we didn't is because the traveling back and forth. Lou didn't want to do that because it was a long way. And the Hells Angels rode. And Sonny Barger meant like y'all ride your bikes here, not fly. And Lou was like, that. I mean, you got to take it. He's a biochemist too, so he's not that rough. So Sonny living on a bike. They didn't do it. As soon as Lou's stepping out and Dutch stepping in, Dutch had a problem with a dude named Wayne Hagar, and he was a president of a car club. And that's another rumor that we were a car club to begin with. No, we were not. Our first biker war was with a car group called the Avengers. That's what the one you're talking about in that parking lot. Well, the cops had found out that these two dudes are going at it. There's a dude, Samuel Wright, I think his name is. He got accidentally killed. He was a pagan. Well, the pagans wanted blood. Okay, so Chip getting real heated up. Like, these are all teenagers, man. So they planned to meet up at his store in the parking lot. Cops are already sitting there waiting on to go because they know the time because kids can't keep their mouth shut. The pagans had showed up before the cops. The cops didn't know the pagans were there in the woods. So when the Avengers pulled up, they started popping off shots. So the cops didn't know nothing where nothing was coming from. But
Yeah.
the cops were trying to get these two groups to go head to head like the Waco thing to just eliminate each other. While they sat back and watched it. And there was no charges filed, I believe. And I could, but they did get a lot of weapons like from off the ground and stuff like that. Dutch was not present. I will tell you this: Lou was not in the club at the time, but he was across the street and watched the whole thing because he gave Dutch the leadership and he wanted to see what he would do with power. He did what he thought he would do. You know, he had on his shoulders. Which ultimately made him leave the pagans, and because he died in 1980, he left the pagans and became an outlaw. He ended up getting kicked out of the outlaws because he was a drug use. That's very not known. You know, a lot of people don't know that he actually left to become an outlaw. But actually, in the very beginning, we were so close with the Hells Angels, the Outlaws, and the Banditos because we all wore a diamond and they might have been different colors, but Sandy instructed me that it was like this. We all put the diamond on. We all went over, had a big meeting. We all are united up under that diamond. No one's head boss of bosses. We all meet together to get problems, fixed out. Before we got this one swinging on this one and this one swinging on this one, and somebody gets shot, killed, whatever. It fixes the problems before it escalates.
Yeah.
And sit downs just like the mafia does. Just like I think Lou explained in one of his videos. Because in his later years, he started dealing with the mafia as well. But I'll get that later. Yeah, he damn. It just. Dutch he died in 1980, which Satan would have been in the club probably almost a year. Satan come over from Satan's sons, which were into it with the pagans. They were beefing at the time. Very early on, but then him and Dutch became friends. Somehow, some way, Dutch goes to an apartment, gets gunned down, gets shot in the head, dies off the gate. He was unarmed. That's unlike Dutch because he had his violent streak. So somebody told him that he had to go do this deal, and he was okay. Sounds like the boss had just took your spot, dog, and then made the whole club pay him $100,000, the equivalent to what the president of the United States was getting paid. That was ballsy. I ain't gonna say it in so many words, but you get where I'm going? Backdooring that club, there was a title change where it was okay. It was not okay anymore to do. It was outlawed. It was out. If you got caught doing it, you were out. But it's very cool. You could do call if you want. Shoot. Like I went to nationals and I started seeing people with snobble goblins. You know, shit. I'm like, what the f is going on, man? And then you got people in your face. Are you high, boy? Are you high? Like, why ain't you? We're at a pagan rally, dude. Not saying that everybody gets, but I'm here to enjoy my time. Like, they say that P in pagan means professional. I'll be goddamn. Like, dude, I'm here to get as much fun as possible. If you pass by me and see me down in the dirt, just look and make sure I'm breathing and know I had a good time. You know, but now you got brothers all up in your face. You can't, they give you pop up drug tests. I was even told I could come back if I stayed clean a year and come out with a clean drug test and Mother Club talk to me. No, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Well,
I'll smoke my weed.
what would you say for the pagans that are out there that say you're not a real pagan, you're just taking the path and doing what you want with it? What would be your response?
See, they're not going to do that. Some will, but they're not going to do it openly because to this day, I have not had one person tell me, "Hey, bro, you're not a pagan anymore. Cough that up." I've not. Well, my mistake. I had one on TikTok do it, and I was out bad. Still out bad. His POP showed up to his doorstep the next morning and made him call me and apologize. My head was like, doop, 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 doop. I didn't think it was going to go down like that, but I didn't rub it in either. I educated him. I said, bro, I won't about to just straight up be and be like, do you know who you're talking to? Because that's not what I do. I roll off the strength of my own name, not who I'm related to. You know,
Yeah.
because if I do that first initial, you can go, oh hell, here's a good to get two shoes. He thinks he's gonna waltz right on in here and just take over. It's not the way it was. I was getting flown around, you know, the United States teaching, you know, prospects, pagans, whatever. They were interested in learning it. And at one point, when brothers came to the state, they would gift me things like plaques and stuff like that. Well, I was gifted a plane ticket to go out west. Well, I was told not until I got back. I was told when I landed that, well, you didn't think to give your ticket up to the old man. He's been in the club since the 70s. I was like, well, bro, they didn't know him. You know, they don't know him. You got to you got to network. You got to, you know, that's what, if they done said it's okay for us to have brothers on the West Coast, who am I to change it? They are wearing patches, so we got to teach them what it's like to be a pagan. Keep that tradition, which has been let go. Now you got pagans out there riding around with all white leather vest on, they're like bird crap. You know, just it's it's a pagan's not supposed to have leather on its cut. Period. Period. Or fairing on its bike. You're supposed to ride and get all the elements of nature on your cut. It's your resume. You never wash it. The only time you can wash it is if you jump your in the ocean. You know, that is Mother Nature. You do not go around saying, oh no, I didn't wash it. My old lady washed it. You know, that's not a good thing to put on your old lady. Because then we got other old ladies that'll handle that too. You know, you got bros that have leather all over the cut, and the leather came from, there was a specific chapter. We had went to a little melee with the outlaws, took their cuts and cut them up and put them up here on the shoulders, because if you rode in the club with denim long enough, you know that those are the first parts of your cut that wear out because the rain beats down on you, because we
Yeah.
ride all year long. There is not a downtime. Pagan sunshine don't matter. Ride, you know.
Yeah.
And now it's like they do a two cut deal, which I raised hell about that. The cut, they'll give you a cut when you come in, it's blank one, blue denim, and then you'll spend your time all in that blood, sweat, and tears, whatever. The moment they think you're ready to patch in, they already have your patches sewn on a separate vest for you, and they just give you the vest and let you walk out with it instead of, no, here's a sewing. You got your sewing kit prospect. Let's stitch you go and get them on. I didn't get done like that, but I had just mind you had a wreck and I had a slip disc in my neck. I was so happy. I came home. I sat at my kitchen table, up all night, but I sat there and I sewed my patches on. There is not a patch sewed on my cut to this day that I've let someone else sew on with a machine or I let them do it. I did the upholstery and everything myself, even cutting it down to the pagan standard, which that has been let go. You know, there's a pagan cut, and then there's the kind of cut that you just cut a blue denim cut off that you get from Harley Davidson. You know, that's why somebody asked me not too long ago. So if I wear this kind of denim cut that I just got from Harley, it ain't gonna cause no problem. But I said probably from the untrained eye at like 81 or something like that. But because they wouldn't know what makes an official pagan cut, but we would. You know, that's like Bloods and Crips. They got the knowledge, and that's what they use it for, to tell who's fake and who's real. You got guys walking around. I think one told me a couple weeks ago that we gave the banditos their diamond. And I had to tell him, look, I'm serious. If I've ever been serious to you in a conversation, don't ever repeat that, because that is not the truth. We were brothers. We were brother clubs. At one point, if you were on the run from the law and you had to relocate, you could go turn your patch in with us and we give you a pagan patch. You hide amongst pagans. And we could go do vice versa. We would swap patches so we could hide out from the law. Yeah. And the pagans didn't ever land in freaking Texas until recently. So how do we give them the diamond? But we did have John, I think his name is John. I can't remember. I got a trunk of his that I got from the guy that runs Outlaw Archives. He
Yeah.
had a bunch of pagan, he had a bunch of pagan stuff, and he didn't have no use for it. I got it. So big shout out to him. But anyway, that guy was a founding member of the Banditos, and he was also one of the very in the pagans at the first years, because they claim they started in 1959. I'm not going to default that. I just know that the pagans did not, because you can't be in two places at once.
You got a lot of information. I'm definitely going to have you on again. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to have you on again.
Yeah.
We'll talk about a little more, maybe some more stories you have, and we'll dive deeper into it.
Yeah. It's been here. I can sit here and talk for days and days and days and days and days and days. Just about, I do it. When prospects, they find me because they're not told about me, but they find me, and that's how I know they're righteous, because they done the research to find out who I am. My name will always be right there in history books, right next to the pagans. Ain't nothing I can do to change it, and ain't nothing they can do. It's just there. They call me bull nuts because I have abundance of confidence, and it's because I know I'm telling the truth. And I got a big heart, and it's on my sleeve. But I ain't gonna fail my brothers, even though they failed me. That's why I still say that they're my brothers. But some of them don't see me that way, and that's cool. But I pledged allegiance to PFFP, LPDP, stuff we died for, or we're going to die for. But now I tell brothers, I don't want you to die for me. I want you to live for me. We ain't like that. Yeah. No.
Damn, man, it's pretty deep, bro.
This is Bull motherfucking Harris, and I'm chatting with Staxx.
If you guys like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, do that. Start your own podcast. Peace.
January 2nd, 1980. The world feels different today, colder, emptier. The events of last night keep replaying in my mind, a horrific loop I can't seem to escape. My friend Fred Dutch Burhans is dead. Bill Sitko is dead. And for what? A moment of rage, a misguided attempt at what? Justice? Revenge? It all seems so pointless now. I remember when I handed Dutch the president position back in '68. He wasn't like the others. There was a sharpness to him, an intensity that set him apart. Even after he left the pagans and became an outlaw for a short period, and now he's gone. Just like that. A bullet to the head, they're saying. Jesus Christ. Sitko. I didn't know him as well, but word travels fast in our circles. A house painter, separated from his wife. Apparently he'd convinced himself that this guy Kaiser was the reason his marriage fell apart. Funny how the mind works, always looking for someone to blame. Now his kids are going to grow up without a father, all because of a goddamn hunch. I can picture it all too clearly. Dutch and Bill, armed and angry, banging on that apartment door. I've always kept a close eye on Dutch, because of his violent nature. He was always the opposite to my dynamic. I was the brains, and he was the muscle. When they got to the apartment, there was a brief exchange of words, tension supposedly thick enough to cut with a knife, and then chaos. Gunshots shattering the night. Bodies falling. It makes me sick to think about it. The cops are saying they don't know who fired first. But does it really matter? In the end, 2 men are dead, and another's fighting for his life in the hospital. All over what? A broken marriage? A wounded ego? It's madness. I keep thinking about Fred's family, about Bill's estranged wife. How do you even begin to process something like this? 1 minute you're going about your life, and the next, everything's shattered beyond repair. It's a stark reminder of how fragile life is, especially in our world. The pagans. Christ, we've had our share of run-ins with the law, but this is something else entirely. It's one thing to get busted for drugs or brawling, but murder? This is going to bring down some serious heat. I can already hear the sirens in the distance, metaphorical for now, but for how long? The cops know I ran the club and handed it to Dutch. I'm probably going to catch some blowback from this. Just hope they don't come snooping around. I've been moving cars and motorcycles for my mafia friends from New Jersey and New York for the past few years, changing VIN numbers and whatnot. I've never been a man that didn't have some money in my pocket. I never went without. Hard to explain where $1.5 million came from with my job on the Fritz. All of this club going violently ignorant. My colleagues and bosses have been different towards me. It's only a matter of time. I find myself wondering if things would have turned out differently if I was still with the club. Would we have been able to talk him down, to stop this madness before it started? Or would it have just meant more bodies on the floor of that apartment? There's talk already. Some are saying this is going to change everything, that the cops will use this as an excuse to come down hard on all of us. Others are talking about retaliation, as if more violence is going to solve anything. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, and I'm powerless to stop it. I somehow feel slightly responsible. I knew what Dutch was, but I never knew to a full extent to what Dutch would or wouldn't do once given that level of authority, power, money. It became all about money. You should pay for your patches to be made. Nothing else. Why get a clubhouse? Just giving it to them, ain't we now, boys? We're just going to slap a location to where they can find us all when something goes wrong and the authorities want to blame the goddamn pagans. When did being a nomad fall by the wayside? Shit. When did having common sense get you put out bad? If any of you idiots out there believe in a 1% patch gives you the license to be a violent criminal and go crazy with the cheese whiz, go down to Rest Haven Cemetery in Hagerstown, Washington County, Maryland. You'll find Dutch at rest. He'll be forever 35. See where it gets you? What it gets you? I keep coming back to that apartment on Lyndhurst Drive. The women who were there. Kaiser's girlfriend and her sister. The children. Christ, there were kids in the next room while this was going down. What kind of world are we living in where this can happen? The news is going to have a field day with this. Former pagan president killed in shootout. I can see the headlines now. They'll drag up every bit of dirt they can find, paint us all with the same brush, as if we're all just trigger-happy lunatics, looking for any excuse to spill blood. But I knew Dutch. He wasn't some mindless, dumbass thug. He was smart, strategic, ambitious. What the hell was he doing there last night? What could have possibly coerced him to go do something like this? These are questions I'll probably never get answers to.